welcome to Spotlight, a weekly talk show that highlights the voices shaping our future. Each week, we will feature in-depth conversations with local change makers and community leaders. Today, we are talking with Congressional Candidate for Illinois' 9th District, Kat Abughazaleh.
I mean, it's 2026. Why do so many of our elected leaders seem to think it's 2006?
Abughazaleh's influence and outspoken nature offer a sneak peek into American politics with Gen Z at the forefront. A Gen Z candidate that describes herself as a journalist, content creator, and progressive. She has mobilized her voters through her social media presence, viral confrontations with ICE, and grassroots approach to her campaign. Mostly funded by individual donations, she has outraised her competitors, raising almost $3 million. But first, correspondent Gianna Perez asked Loyola students what issue is most important to them as voters.
What is the first most important issue for you as a Gen Z voter?
I would say, the first most important issue for me, and typically I think for every Gen Z voter, generally speaking, would be affordability.
I'd say progressiveness.
The gutting of Medicaid and Medicare. I don't think people are gonna see how badly that's gonna affect the healthcare system.
Progressiveness and youth, I think they go hand in hand.
All the ICE and immigration stuff.
Immigration. I obviously disagree with the way that ICE is handling immigration, and I don't believe at all in that there's a border crisis or that we should be restricting access to this country at all. So right now that's the most important to me.
We've gone past kind of political affiliations and partisanship, and I think we've just gone into more of like a warfare state where it's more important to be voting based on the violations of civil rights and everything rather than like economic policy.
Thank you, Gianna. And welcome to our guest, Kat Abughazaleh. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So let's begin with the moment that went viral. In a video, you were being shown thrown to the ground by federal agents. And shortly after, the Trump administration charged you with conspiracy to impede and assault on a federal agent. What can you tell us about that?
That video that you're referencing is actually the third time that agents have specifically thrown me. I have witnessed firsthand while protesting ICE their brutality. We've been tear gassed, we've been shot with pepper balls, we've been thrown, we've been dragged, we've been hit with batons. And what I really try to stress to people is that is what they're willing to do to us in front of cameras. What are they willing to do to the many, many people that they have imprisoned behind the boarded up windows of that building? You know, I'm Palestinian, I have that last name, but look at me. Like, this is what federal agents are willing to do to a blonde woman on camera, which this is America. We need to recognize that state violence is prejudicial. As far as my case, yes, I'm under federal indictment. We have a date for our trial, May 26th. I can't get into really any specifics from the day that the case references, but we plan on winning. We pled not guilty, and we plan on winning.
Amazing. And you've been called a Gen Z candidate. How do you get past the stigma of what some people say about you, that you're too young and inexperienced? What do you say to your critics who mischaracterize you as an influencer?
Thank you for this question. I think a lot of it is something that young people, but especially young women, face a lot. And people can say whatever they want. I'm big on the idea of don't listen to what I say, watch what I do. And so I try to show through my work, past and present, what I believe and what my value is. As far as experience, I always ask if the answer was more career politicians, would we be in this mess in the first place? I don't think Congress should just be 26-year-old journalists, but I also think we need a diversity of backgrounds, diversity of race, ethnicity, religion, gender, sex, sexual orientation, but also diversity of background. I'm a union rep, a journalist and researcher who covers the far right. We need some of that right now, especially now, but we also need teachers and labor leaders and scientists and public health officials, not just the same old, same old.
Your campaign has also established itself as grassroots funded by utilizing modern methods such as live streaming to make fundraising more accessible. According to your Instagram, you fundraised more than $200,000 speaking directly to voters on Twitch. Why this approach?
I don't like the idea of call time because first off, everyone hates it. The people doing the calls, the people getting the calls. Politicians and candidates spend sometimes 40 to 60 hours a week sitting in a room and dialing for dollars. But it also means that we're relying on the oligarchy. And when we treat that as a permanent status of something you have to do, we become more reliant on the rich. So we have committed to no money from billionaires, no money from Republican-funded PACs, no money from corporate PACs, and we started live streaming as a way to counteract call time. And it means that we've had, for 6 hours a week instead of 60, we have essentially impromptu town halls, and we raise our money with small dollar donations.
We'll be right back.
Every day begins with a choice. Either rush through or take a moment. That first sip, it's more than coffee. It's a reset, a connection, a smile, or even a good luck on your exam from your favorite barista. Every cup we craft is made with care, because how you start your day matters. So savor that moment. Every great day begins with your first sip. Metropolis Coffee Company, obsessively crafted for you.
So what is the first most important thing as a Gen Z voter?
The first most important thing.
The lack of Christian community.
Whether or not they're funded by APAC.
Right now, I would say immigration policy.
Like employment, to be honest. Like, I'm in my last semester as a senior, and I want to feel a little bit more certain that I'll have like a job after I graduate, you know?
You moved to Chicago on July 24th and announced your campaign March 24th of last year. Why did you decide to run for this congressional seat in the 9th District, and what decisions led up to this?
You know, I definitely didn't plan to run for Congress until about a year ago. Like, if you had told me a year and 2 weeks back what my life would be, I would think you're crazy. But I got sick of waiting for someone to do the right thing, and I and my colleagues have spent years trying to warn Democrats about this exact moment. I decided to do something myself and run, which is not something I ever have in my adult life ever considered doing. And it's been definitely a learning experience, but I still feel as strongly about those convictions as I did then. I encourage every student, you spend 9 months out of the year here, you should register to vote here. You deserve representation, especially as this administration cracks down on higher education institutions, especially as ICE prowls our campuses, and especially as affordability gets worse and worse and worse. And students deserve to be represented, no matter what this administration or the party establishment tries to say.
And throughout your campaign, you've been extremely vocal about both Democrats and Republicans, citing the lack of action from Democrats and opposition to Trump's administration. How do you describe your position, and would you ever run as a third-party candidate?
You know, I identify myself with the Democratic Party of the Civil Rights Act and the New Deal. I want to see an opposition party that actually puts up an opposition. And I don't think a third party is the answer. What I would love to see are cross endorsements like what the Working Family Parties does, and so we can see almost Venn diagrams in our political structures of people with different coalitions. I think that is the way that we broaden political influence across coalitions and minimize influence from this two-party system. The reason that I criticize even my own party is I think it's the most democratic thing you can do, big D and small d. I think if we're not holding ourselves accountable, how are we any better than the other side? When I started this campaign, in my launch video, I said that Democrats need to grow effing spine, and I meant it, because this is not practice, this is not training. We are not sliding into fascism, we are here now. And if your constituents have trusted you to represent them, you need to be putting everything on the line to protect them.
One of your key issues in your campaign is a free and sovereign Palestine, and you've established that you're anti-war. How does your stance differ from your opponents?
So there are essentially 3 leading candidates right now, myself and 2 others. I am the only one of those candidates that has never met with AIPAC or submitted a position paper to AIPAC. I am the only one of those candidates who opposes anti-BDS legislation. And it's not because I'm even Palestinian, it's because that's anti-free speech. I don't consider myself super radical on this. I think that every civilian deserves to be safe, that no child should starve. I think that every war criminal, and it doesn't matter what flag they're under, deserves to be held accountable and tried in court. And I believe that we need Palestinian statehood recognized by the United States, just as it is by 82% of the world, because otherwise, how are we supposed to have any solution if both parties aren't on equal footing?
Kat, thank you so much for being here. For Spotlight, I'm your host, Arianna Spruille. Thank you for joining us.